Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. It is your favorite warlock, practicing necromancer, and overall black magician, sorcerer. So, just a little bit ago, I was talking with somebody that had posted on my YouTube channel. This individual had posted a couple of things and kind of got me thinking about the past, present, basically your overall journey upon the path of being a Satanist for so long. I was a Satanist for 30 years, you know, 30 years. I mean, I've seen people come and go. I've had people turn enemies. I've had people say, well, I'm separating from you, but you're going to come back begging and I'm not going to be there to help you. I've had so many different things just happen over the years that one of the things that I always concurred on was remembrance. Remembrance. The journey of a Satanist is one of solitary, much like a necromancer, which is probably why I got into necromancy about 3 or 4 years ago. And it was interesting because I've lost a lot of good friends to death, been abandoned, had people go to the enemy, the other side, and I've been hated. Been called every name in the book. It's from devil, demon, archdemon, antichrist, you name it. Christians have called me names, and it's really kind of amusing to see the journey. But when I started going from being just a plain Satanist to going through the different denominations of them, my understanding of Satanism changed. It wasn't just who I was affiliated with or associated with through friendships and discussions. It was a path that was very enriching. And so this one individual said they wanted to have conversations with Satanists, but there's really no real Satanists around anymore. I said that's because they are dead or dying. You know, the old ways of Satanism is basically a dying breed. Right now, it is a slow, strangling death for the old ways of Satanism. Not many people are getting into the old ways. They're buying into these new age traditions, such as the atheistic version of the COS or the whole sex thing from the JOS, the Joy of Satan. Lately they've been getting into the TST, the Satanic Temple, and which is a group that's been going around suing everybody because they don't believe in how they utilize Baphomet or the image of Satan or whatever. Mm, And it comes down to their members' rights. And yet, in the same breath, it's that hypocrisy because they're claiming to be doing this for all Satanists. So, when I went from being a Satanist into these other traditions, I ended up delving into the research within the old myths and the old folklore, the old traditions. And before long, I ended up becoming friends with some very heavy hitters. And I'm talking people with 35, 40 years underneath their belt. People who have been doing videos and teaching for a very long time. It's one of those things where you wake up one day and realize you're just a pinto fish surrounded by a league of sharks, a swarm of sharks, which is very much true. It just happens one day. And I found it kind of interesting because death has always followed me in my life. Ever since fourth grade, I've just lost everybody to death. If I start caring or I start liking something, it gets taken, it gets gone. So I delved into demonolatry, I delved into black magic, I delved into sorcery, and I started just following my own path. And before long, I ended up following a creed, and some of which I agreed with, and other things I didn't. So this video goes out to all you newbies looking to get into Satanism or any other tradition. I want you to understand that this path is solitary most of the time. It is a path of personalized gain. It's a path working of hardship. It's not for the faint of heart. I look back over the last few years and I've seen how many brothers and sisters that I have been associated with for a very long time just end up either getting cancer and dying, having dialysis and going on dialysis because their kidneys were shutting down, you know, due to having diabetes or heart failure, and then ending up with memory loss and brain activity shutting down because of all the things that they've endured over a long period of time. I've lost a lot of good friends on this path. A lot of people I used to be associated with, I'm no longer associated with today. It has nothing to do with them. It's just you as a practitioner have a certain aura that you develop. One of the things I recommend is don't look at Satanism or being a Satanist as being a limiter. The title itself does limit you to the worldly views. It is a drama fest today of corrupted, regurgitated materials. But as I explained to this individual, just because the old ways of Satanism is a dying breed, there are very few of us left that are practitioners of demonolatry, Satanism, and necromancy. There are very few of us because we are a dying breed. Ever since I was young, I always related more to the elders, the elderly. I didn't get along with people my own age. A lot of people are attracted to me because of that darkness or what they believed was the darkness that surrounded my life. This, unfortunately, comes with the stereotype. It does. Just remember to have a code that you live by. It's okay to go by the 11 adversarial doctrines. It's okay to go by the 9 satanic sins or the 21 satanic points, the 11 satanic rules of the earth. You know, it's even good to go by the 13 laws of the Brotherhood. Okay, the Brotherhood of Satan. I had this friend named Frank that I believe I'm still friends with on Facebook. I just haven't been in contact with him over the last few years. Last time I knew, he got a job and was doing, some personalized stuff, and just leave it at that. But he was a member of the Brotherhood of Satan, and this is a group that is very hush hush about their rites and their rituals. They're very private. They don't really talk about things unless you're a member of their organization. So when we started talking about this organization, he was completely surprised how much I actually knew without being a member of that organization. And it's because of the fact that when you do your homework and you are observant, you have power. You have power because you have knowledge of said organizations. Okay? You end up gaining that power and have that, which makes you a threat. Okay? And you will find adversities. You will be hated and despised because you choose to live your life by educational means. Okay? And you will, okay, babe, you will find out that people will come and go from your life. It's okay to associate with these groups. It's okay to associate with other Satanists. It doesn't matter if they're theistic, traditional, um, spiritual, even agnostic. Being agnostic is not a bad thing. In my own personal experience, alchemy plays a huge part in the process of being a Satanist. Somebody based off intelligence, knowledge, even. And it does set you apart from the rest of society. I will tell you that because it sucks. It's hard making friends when you have an IQ that's above most, especially the knowledge that they lack. But here's the key: trust in the spirits that you work with, because the alchemy is based not only inside you, but also in the other realms, the other dimensions. These spirits are willing to help you. You do have what the COS would describe as the three parts of self. You have the outer male or female, the inner male or female, and then you have the core of that male and female. And based off the clock of the Satanic Witch by Anton Zandler LaVey, which I do own that, by the way, very good representative of the psychological views of the dominant and submissive personalities. Okay. And I found that this works within a lot of different applications. Anton was one of those men that was ahead of his time. If you go back to the 1920s, you'll find Daryl Sloan out of Wisconsin. Was it Wisconsin, Michigan? I think it was Michigan or Ohio region is where this guy was from. He formed the first above ground satanic coven here in the U.S., at least as far as I can tell, long before Anton LaVey. So LaVeyan Satanism was not the first. If you actually do your homework, you'll see that there were other organizations, other covens worldwide that were already above ground. The Hellfire Club, back in the 18th century, London. Another one. The Order of the Nine Angles, which goes back to, which is a traditional Satanism path working. It's about personal growth journey through mental and physical applications. If you look at some of these modern day Satanists, look at, for an example, let's go with these types that like to work out. You know, a good friend of mine, Percival, for an example, who is the owner and founder of Defenders of Satanism. Okay, he likes to work out. He likes to build muscles and he likes to be strong. Okay, this is this is due to the perceptions of the ONA. Okay, I'll get to that in just a minute, B&T, and that's a very good question, and I will be covering that in just a moment. So Anyways, he likes to work out. Hell, I like to work out. Okay, but I don't go overboard like he does. Okay, I mean, he'll show, you know, wearing the whole muscle shirts and the gloves on the hands type thing, whereas I go in just to tone my muscles. This is a difference between bodybuilding and, say, for an example, martial arts training. Okay, I find that being the way I was trained in my youth was more about flexibility. It was more about blitz strikes, if you will. Okay. So when you get into black magic and sorcery, it's more about mental. And this is also part of the ONA. It's about mentalism, which is why they go by the star game. This is where alchemy on different planetary spheres is played within a form of chess. So you're dealing with nine different chessboards with alchemical symbols as the pieces. So consider that. But in today's world, Satanism is literally a dying breed because the knowledge of what our ancestors knew is being forgotten. It's being overlooked. It's being watered down and corrupted. In today's world, the image of a Satanist, for an example, is more about playing the bad guy to the church. It's the look at me radicals. I am a Satanist. I work for the devil, your enemy. It's about once a year going out and doing your little black mass and saying, for the world, I'm here. Come hate me. It's no longer about personal evolution. It's no longer about personalized growth. It's no longer about education. It's about money, it's about power, and it's about popularity in numbers. This is what is referred to as reversed Christianity. In the old days, Satanism was referred to by the Catholic Church, the Nazarenes, and identified within witchcraft, necromancy, divination, and possession. These are the characteristics that they believed made up the fundamental basis of what witchcraft was and is. You look at the Satanists today. Satanism is now associated with gothcraft, dressing head to toe in black. It's about wearing, for an example, this out to gain attention and popularity. You look at Joe Netherworld, for an example. I respected, I loved that man's readings. He was so dead on with his readings, and people fear Satanism because they believe it's associated with criminal activities. But yet, if you look at Joe Netherworld, people in his community loved him when he was alive. Okay, and it's because he had this fun house that he had set up in the neighborhood, and people felt safe and secure with him there because he looked out for them. He made them laugh. Today, you don't see that. You don't see how Satanists are individual people. It's now about groups. It's now about popularity and money. It's about regurgitated material. Nobody is going out and doing their own research. They become what Stephanie Connolly so colorfully pointed out in her complete book of demonolatry as being armchair magicians. Everybody wants it for free. They don't want to do the work, they want it given to them. This is laziness. And if you actually paid attention to the satanic creeds, you'll notice that laziness is one of the seven deadly sins of the COS. Forgetfulness of past orthodoxies, pride, solipsism. Should I go on? And it's ironic because even the COS doesn't go by these creeds. They themselves have forgotten their own creeds and their own history. It used to be based off devil worship. It used even Anton Zandaleve, and you can find this video right here on YouTube, came out on a live interview and said, "I am a devil worshiper. I worship devils. Worship demons. They are as real as you and I." Okay? Today, the Church of Satan is more atheistic, and that's due to Peter H. Gilmore. It started with Blanche Barton taking over. She basically made it from devil worship into atheistic. And then when she stepped down and Peter H. Gilmore took over, it became purely atheistic. And since then, we have seen numerous organizations rise and fall based off that atheistic transition. If you actually look at the psychological effects of Satanism and satanic magic, you will notice that it's not just psychological, but it is also the physical changes within an alchemical change. You get into herbalism, you get into the metals and the planetary spheres, you get into witchcraft, the very the very changes that you're trying to make through alignments with spirits. So many have risen and fell by their own hands, their own stupidity. It's either because they have grown to ignorance and blindness, or through frustration and failures. That is why so many fail when they get into Satanism. Instead, they become a part of the herd conformity. Well, all these groups are going this direction, so you must be wrong. No. These are the same people that come to people like me. They come to me because I share with them actual education. I give you the information that you need to further your own career. And then from time to time, you do see an individual that literally takes that information and finds something that I overlooked or missed. This is what being a Satanist is about. It's about personal gain, it's about personal growth, personal evolution, and forging your career and aligning yourself with not only with the forces of darkness, but also with those spirits that reside there. And a lot of people, this is something that they get mixed up. They think well, I've aligned myself with the forces of darkness. I've aligned myself with hell. Therefore, I'm protected by the demons. No. All you've done by aligning yourself through the initiationary process is aligned yourself with that current and evicting, and I'm going to use this term again, evicting your former association. A lot of people, when they come from, say, Christianity or Wiccan or pagan practices, bring that same dogma into their new path. This is what causes them to fail because they're not open to learning. They already think and believe that they know it all. I can tell you without a shadow of a doubt, I don't know everything. I am not perfect. I've had my hardships. I've had my fair share of doubts, especially after the last of my brothers passed away just last year. I'm still associated with a friend's wife that is now with somebody else. Her husband died last year as well, but she still looks to me for guidance from time to time. And now she's training new Satanists. I'm proud of her. But you got to remember, it's about your journey. One of the things I tell people is it's not about the race. It's not a race. Think of it more as a marathon. We've only got a certain amount of time in this world to grow, to mature, and to evolve through knowledge, through wisdom, through the understanding. If you go back to the old magi of Sanskrit, let's go with cuneiform. If we go to Arabic traditions, if we go back into the old the old world from say Giza, where the pyramids are. Let's go all the way up to like say the Shem priesthood to the Hashishin of Middle Eastern traditions. If we go into the mages and sages, the witches, the warlocks, we go into the Babalawi or the Yeshi, the Aji, the Hexa. All these titles, all these names are of practitioners that lock themselves away for years to learn, to mature, and to grow. Okay? And they did this through mastery. And somebody's trying to get in touch with me. I'll get it later. But here's the kicker. Today's Satanists, they're not interested in learning. They don't take a vow of silence for a number of years. They don't. They don't sit there and go, okay, I've got to learn this stuff, and to do that, I have to separate from the world. Instead, they remain a part of the world. You look at on social media today, prime example. How many people are jumping on this and gangbanging Will Smith with jokes and memes? How about this war over in Ukraine? Yes, I'm aware of these things. I'm not getting involved. It's of the mundane world. We're supposed to be enlightened people. Where's your intelligence? You know what I'm saying? Indeed, they do. I believe it was the book of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John where the practitioner, Jesus of Nazareth, the man, basically told his disciples to set their treasures in heaven and not on the earth. Because when you set them in the heavens, they do not rust, they do not corrode. But if you put them in the world, then they're going to get stolen, they're going to get corrupted, they're going to become in a form of dissolving liquid, if you will. Think of it as melting silver down. What happens? You take a block of gold or a block of silver and you just melt it. It becomes liquid based. And it sets forth that alchemical change to put it into something new. Look at the Philosopher's Stone for an example. Prime example there. Everybody talks about it, but yet not many people agree on what it is. You are the Philosopher's Stone. You are the device that changes and grows. You can use these other tools in just about anything you want, but it comes down to you. and what you're willing to do, how far you're willing to go, and what you're willing to do for that practice. So when I sit here and I think upon all the brothers and sisters that I've lost over the years due to death, yeah, Satanism is a dying breed. At least the old ways are. You have this whole new way of herd conformity. You got this new way of, well, I don't like the way your interpretation of and usage of Baphomet, so I'm going to sue you. You know, these groups forget that they don't represent Satanism for everybody. But yet, like the JCI, the Judo Christian institutions, they're following the same statures as them, which is why I use the term reversed Christianity. I don't associate with my enemies. I don't give two shits what my enemies do. I'm doing my own thing. I live my life with the spirits that I work with. I come on here to do my videos and to share news with you, to lead you upon your path so that you can grow. It's up to you to take that wisdom and that knowledge and go from there. I'm not doing the work for you. These modern day Satanists, these modern day practitioners, they'll keep handing you shit so that you become the slave. You become the sheep. That's all you do. You want to remain a sheep, you might as well go to church. Live your life on your knees, answering to only one man or woman, depending if it's a male or female minister, reverend, compadre, father, monk. But if you want to become a wolf, you're going to have to learn to grow and to do the work yourself. Put that armchair magician bullshit aside and do your own homework. I've always said, whatever you preach, back it up. My brothers, they knew this. They didn't lean on anybody. Did they come and ask questions? Yes. Some of these men who are older than me looked to me for wisdom and knowledge. It was an honor when they looked at me and said, "Hey, what do you know about this topic?" And I give them sources and references, and they'd go with it. You know, one of the things I miss is the late night talks with one of my brothers from Canada. Good man, left a couple children behind and a grandchild. My other brother didn't really talk to him much, but that man could blow you away with a single sentence. Damn, I miss that. He always challenged me in a lot of good ways. You mean John Saunders? He died last year. He died of cancer. Yeah, he was the last brother I talked to. After that, I made the decision. I even had doubts about continuing on doing these videos. I had doubts and was considering shutting down the Order of the Black Thorn. I eventually did shut down the Order of the Black Thorn because all you had was these lazy ass lounge magicians. They didn't really participate, they didn't share their knowledge, they didn't do anything. So it came down to just archiving the group and just saying adios. Now I just do my thing and I've grown. That's true. I concur with you. Ironically, I was working right last night with Beelzebub, and I've been doing a lot of rights with him over the last 14 days. And I actually shared a photo with one of my apprentices uh, after I came out of there, and he said, "That's not you. There is something else there." I couldn't believe how green my eyes were. I mean, I got hazel eyes, but this was just pure green. I'm talking spirit realm green. And it's funny because I actually was invoking him. I actually have a spirit bottle that I erected after his death as a spirit house for him so that he is able to continue to commune with me, to come and go as he pleased. Welcome to necromancy, where you surround yourself with items of death, like the death urn, the death masks, and bones, and skulls, and ash, and everything. It's there. But yeah, I do miss him. I do miss him. He was he was my best friend. He was my brother. So, but yeah, like I said, you will have doubts. You will. It's always important to remember your ancestors. It's always important to remember where you come from. You know, there's an old expression: "You are who you associate with." Well, even my better half, who is a little bit younger than me, has looked right at me and said, "You're an old man." It's like, God damn it, I'm only 43. But still, it's people look at you with a different perspective when they realize that you're an elder. When you become an elder, it's like you separate from the main body and you become more spiritual. It doesn't matter if you're a brua, a bruo, a boko, a capilata, a miramberos, a polero, a mambo, or a hungan, babalawi, hexa, eshi, aji, strega, wizard, necromancer, shaman. It doesn't matter. When you separate yourself from society, that's when you begin to grow. That's when you begin to awaken. It's not about popularity, numbers, or anything to that extent. I don't, I have a book that I've been writing for the better part of 7 years now. But I'm looking at this point more to make it into a grimoire of all my knowledge and experience for future generations of practitioners that really want to learn. But I'm thinking about giving that to, when it's completed, I'm thinking about giving it to the organization that I'm associated with now. Because this path of a necromancer has really benefited me in many, many different ways that Satanism never did. It doesn't mean that I've walked away from Satanism or their practices. I still do them. I still associate with those demons that I've made pacts with, that I've made deals with, and that I work with. I've shown how I've marked my own flesh permanently with the seals of those entities, forever linking me to them. This is why I say that it's always a good thing to have that creed. The 13 laws of the Brotherhood, number one on that list of the 13 laws of the Brotherhood of Satan, is always remember your ancestors. Remember those who came before. Because if you forget them, then you fall into a stigmatism, a form of stagnation. Then that goes into corruption and watered down philosophies that you see today. So while talking with this individual, he said this individual wanted to talk to and associate PDF wise with theistic Satanism. So I recommended Alistair Knott to him and Reverend Kane. You see, Alistair Knott, he has 35 years plus experience in theistic Satanism. He's considered to be the spokesman for theistic Satanism. I love his works because outside of him, there's only one other man that I literally related to, and that was Anton Szandor LaVey. His essays, his very thoughts were like mine. I related to him so much. Even had the honor of meeting him once through acquaintance. Alistair Knott is one of those practitioners. He will challenge you psychologically speaking, from a psychological perspective, a cognitive perspective, to get you thinking about the views of the outer and inner sanctum, how to approach an altar, a ritual, how to construct that altar, how to form acts of omissions, giving libations, prayers, and most importantly, working with those spirits in general through all of this stuff. The prayers that he does is magnificent. His thoughts and his words flow like water. Reverend Cain, on the other hand, through his Infernal Gospel book, which is basically the Devil's Bible, the Book of the Satanic Bible, the Book of Kings, and the Satanic Hymns, basically, all put into one book that has been revised and added to. He basically simplifies things and kind of brings it into a perspective for even a child to understand. It's one thing I like about him. He doesn't get beat around with the bullshit. No, he sticks to the facts and he says it the way it is. I would love to meet these two men in person. Unfortunately, I've only had conversations with Alistair Knott. Limited as they are, but I have spoken with him and he has replied to me several times. So I like these two men. Their work is spectacular, and I believe they're along the lines of what true Satanism is supposed to be. That would be like Vokalakis Oriax, who wrote the Book of the Divine Black Flame of Satan. Traditional Satanism, to be precise. His work within Satanism, demonolatry, and vampiric practices is unmatched. Unmatched. It's a shame that he passed away as well. He was a wise man, and I had an honor of calling him a friend. So, and a brother. The other one for traditional Satanism is Myrmidon Pontifex Maximus. He wrote the book The Devil's Bible, The Devil's Disciples, and The Devil's Coven. Basically, Tentatio Diabolus, if you will. All three books are rolled into one. And his works are unique, not regurgitated, and simplified, straightforward. Just like Vokalakis, just like Alistair Knott, and just like Reverend Cain. Magnificent men. Magnificent. I recommend them to you. These men came before me. They came from different covens, different forms of Satanism, but they, in my opinion, stand for what Satanism really is about: individualism, self growth, self mastery. You can probably get a lot of them on PDF or at least Kindle aspects, as I told this individual. But outside of that, Satanism is a dying breed, at least the old ways. I don't even relate to this new generation of Satanism. I really don't. I don't see the point in going around suing over gender or reproductive rights or all this other horseshit that's associated with the world. It's it just things that should have been put to death centuries ago. You know, when slavery ended, people are still acting like they're slaves. You know, women's rights movements, same bullshit. Things that should have died out back in the 50s, 18th century even. Why is it still going on today? People don't want to let go of the drama. That's all it is. Remove yourself from the drama and do what is necessary for your own evolution. That's Satanism for you. Take your destiny by the cojones and begin your journey. Hey, Brendan. I'm Michael, and I hope you learn a lot from my videos because that's the point of them. It's to help those who really want to learn, those who want to grow, and those who want to get involved in what witchcraft and sorcery and demonology and spiritual conjurations are truly about. I have a lot of different series that I've done over the last few years. I've done one on the journey into Satanism, one on necromancy, and one on witchcraft. Okay, I've given numerous sources, numerous avenues that you can explore on your own because it is your journey, not mine. All I can do is give you the sources and let you do the work because you will benefit much more by doing yourself than if somebody was giving it to you for free. When I got into necromancy, I didn't have a teacher that taught me every little detail. 4 years ago, when I got into necromancy full time, I had to sit there over an entire year and try to find these entities that they were speaking. I had to do rituals and rites that I had no freaking clue that what I was doing. Doing yourself, you learn a lot. It's okay to ask questions. It is okay to come forth and say, "Hey, I'm going to be working this type of rite. Who do you recommend would be the best fit for this rite?" Or what do you? How do I get to know my patron or patroness? How do I get to know my creator? I found out that my creator is Abaddon. My patron is Astaroth. Okay, and yet I work with a lot of different spirits that have benefited me over the years because I've stayed true to them and their ways. I listen to what they have to say. I've learned to put my trust in them when I work with them because the belief structure there, which is mostly psychological, is you got to let go of the dogma. You got to delve self motivating. You heard me correct. Self motivating techniques that will benefit you because you're the only one who can motivate yourself to get into these procedures, this knowledge, this wisdom. I've gone from grimoire systems to the Kabbalah. I've gone into various different traditions of voodoo to Santeria, Palo Mayumbi, and now Brujeria as well. And when I got into necromancy, my studies, I found a lot of the spirits that I was working with. But here's the thing. I had to ask one man a question. I asked Frank White from the Grail of the Serpents because he was doing a live feed, and I said I was asked to put forth an essay about necromancy in Egypt, but every time I type in necromancy in Egyptian mythology, it doesn't come up. I always get Greek or Roman. Do you have any sources or know of any sources that would get me started? Well, this man is a true sorcerer. Because he looked right at me and he said, Shem priesthood. So I delved into the Shem priesthood after listening to his reply, and this took me all the way up in through the Middle East, up into European countries, into Russia and Slavic traditions, all the way back down into African Caribbean traditions. So it's okay to ask questions because a lot of times you're going to find that asking that question will get you further, unlike sitting on your ass doing nothing. Okay? I'm not saying this to be cruel. I'm not saying this to be mean. I'm saying this because it's a fact. And what's ironic about this is this literally led me into different traditions that I used to study, that I was initiated into. And then I ended up getting into Brujeria and everything just clicked. Everything just clicked within necromancy practices. So here I am today, 4 years later, after getting into necromancy. I've realized that one of the biggest issues that people have is they limit themselves. You are your own worst enemy. Friedrich Nietzsche, Marcus Aurelius, Sun Tzu, they've all talked about this. You are your own worst enemy. Even if you get into the martial arts, and I know a lot of occultists have spoken about getting into martial arts or some form of yogic or Vedic type of practice. You know, this will help you with flexibility, endurance, even awakening your and aligning your chakras and your kundalini. Okay, a lot of people don't do it, but some do because it's something that calls to them. This is something that I recommend. Since I started doing the working on my posture and working on my breathing, my practices within necromancy have skyrocketed. I no longer think within the mundane construct. I have no interest or care to be associated with the world. There's nothing in the world that really interests me anymore. Like I said, I'm 43 years old. I've been around. I've had hardships. I've lived on the streets. I've been my own worst enemy over the years. But it's until you learn to stop tripping yourself up, to get away from that chaos, get away from that dogma, and to get serious about your practices. Only then can you begin your journey. When I first started working with Zaniel, for an example, the teacher of witchcraft from the grimoire of Armadale, months passed before he even opened up to me, before he even made his presence known. Months, not days, not hours, not minutes, months. I'm talking more than a year. It was almost 2 to 3 years before he even opened up to me. And I found out that he wanted to see what I was willing to do. How far was I willing to go to learn what he had to offer? Was I willing to experiment? Was I willing to delve in and do the work? Was I willing to put forth the work? See, not all spirits are going to be right there in your face. They're going to want to make sure that you're ready, that you're prepared for what they have to offer. Plain and simple. Don't let ego or pride hold you back because that is basically you holding yourself back. You're tripping yourself up. Be open and let the spirits work on their own time. Don't try to force it. If you try to force it, you're just going to break it. You don't want to, the expression, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Pick a system, work with it. Don't corrupt it. Don't add to it. Don't take away from it. Work in that system. The Celtic Golden Dawn has a system that I recommend. Practice for a year, reflect on that path for that year for a day. Is this the path for you? What benefits have you received during that time? What did you learn? How did it help you through your day-to-day life, through your own practices? Be it either on the job or with family life. How about your magical career? Your very practices. How did it help you? If it's done nothing, do it for one more year. Just one more year. Total of 2 years. If no benefits have come during that 2 years, then move on to the next system until you find one that fits you. Till it fits you. That's the best information I can give you right there. 33 years. I started practicing when I was 11. I'm now 43 years old. Like I said, it's been a hard life. It's been solitary. I've been hated, abandoned. Hell, I've even had I've even been banned from restaurants and stores just based off my religious beliefs. That and one of which I quit drinking, and next thing I know, I found out I got banned. It's like, okay, whatever. There's other fish in the sea. But still, it's there. So when you begin your journey, you're going to want to look at your past. You're going to want to look at who came before you. What have they done that helped you learn? How much did they help you grow as an individual? Did they guide you in the right direction? If you're into the ancestral lineage path working, such as Haitian Voodoo, Santeria, or say, for an example, let's go with satanic families, satanic covens. If you come from a hereditary family line, you have a lineage that you can connect to. It's not just working with the demons. You're going to look at those building blocks. There's an old expression within the 21 satanic points that says, build not upon sand, but upon rock. Build not for today or yesterday, but for all time. A short rest is better than a long. And he who stands the top of the largest tower of skulls, sees the furthest. Basically meaning, know your shit. Do your own homework. Think of it as a marathon, not a race. It's not about how fast you get there. It's about the journey. All right? Have a good day. I want to thank BNT for jumping on here with me. Brandon. Should actually say Brandon, since you gave me your name. Um, and yeah, and for those of you who have liked and are joining in, thank you. If you have any, if you like what you see and you want to learn more, hit that subscribe button or the notification button, either one, doesn't matter which. It's up to you. And until next time, have a good day.